Today I want to take you with me just to find, I'm looking for inspiration for my next painting. This is just a few minutes away from where I live. There's lots of different scenery. There's a playing field, and I carried on walking just down the public pathway and come across this place. And this is where the farms are, and just a few old buildings, and just a really nice location. I hope you like the dramatic music for this intro. Just wanted to do something a little bit different, and I wanted to take you with me just to show you the surroundings near where I live. Welcome back. This is Dave Lowe from Get Some Colour in Your Life, and starting off with my Fabriano paper. This is £140 rough paper, so it's got a nice texture to it, which I really do enjoy using. It gives you some more unique qualities to the painting, and I'm just showing you the stage of I just wanted to plan things out, obviously because I'm using a reference photo. Then I just want things a little bit more accurate. It's not my sort of usual just chuck the paint down and see what happens. This time I wanted to plan things out and just use my pencil to mark out where things are going, and I can always delete or change things as I go along. I don't know how true to the photograph I'm going to go, but pretty much the same. I don't intend to change anything so far, so hopefully I include everything that's on the photo reference. So this is the reference. This is the picture that I decided on, and I've just got this picture developed. Now the thing that I want to point out is I'm just looking at shapes, tones, or contrast, and then perspective. So you may be able to see I've got my vanishing point, the little dot in the middle of my paper, and all the points are going to this point. Just keep recording, it doesn't matter. I'm talking and that.
If I sneeze in your camera.
No, I don't.
No.
You may be able to hear my son. They're threatening to sneeze on the camera. I did ask him to film a little bit of this section, and he has had a bit of a cold, so he's a bit snotty and sneezing and all this sort of thing, which is fun, and he happily agreed to film. So just wanted to show you a little bit of the setup, my workspace, and I wanted to show you the palette in particular because you can see the mud that's left in the palette that I always tell you about. And I've got two colours that are in the palette at the moment, predominantly green, sap green, and then on the other side you may see that little dried up puddle, which is mostly pyro red. So if you look at the photograph that's by the side of the palette, for me I can see mostly red, and obviously the green is green. So I'm going to use these two colours and just vary them slightly to get all of my colours from these two wells. So the red I'm going to use for the bricks and the road, the buildings. Just add little bits of different colours So essentially I'm just darkening the red. So I've added some yellow ochre, and then to the sap green I've added some yellow ochre as well. So I'm just gonna just adapt these colours as and when I need, but the main colours are red and green, so I'm just going to use those to get my various different colours. Obviously this one I do depend on perspective quite a bit, because there's buildings and you want things to look right perspective wise. I'm not the best at this, but just as a rough guideline, I did put my dot in the center of the paper, so this is representing my vanishing point, and then all the lines are gonna the idea is all the lines lead to that point. So when you got buildings like this from the side, the roofs of the buildings are going to slope towards this dot. So in theory, as long as all the lines go to this vanishing point, then you should be not too far off, should be quite accurate. I'm not going to get into more than one vanishing point perspective, because that's it's hard to explain, but the tone, this is just the contrast. So obviously you got the lights and the darks. So I've got my first wash down now, like I said, using the two colours, and so just wanted to cover the white of the paper first of all, and then obviously the first one, just went a bit blank then. The first one, shapes. When you start out a painting, and the more details you've got, you got to break it down into shapes. So what I see here is the different shapes of the buildings, the way they are, and just treat them as shapes first of all, and then as you add details, these start taking shape, they start coming to life and just looking more like what it is you're painting or drawing. Whatever medium you may use, this is the same sort of principle. Just draw the shapes first. Allow yourself to study the perspective, and obviously the contrast, or the lights and darks, which is probably the most important. The colour really isn't as important as you may think. It doesn't really matter about the colour. See the colour I'm using for this building now on the right, I was going to add some more red to it. It is quite a bit redder than the mix I've got here, but I'm just happy to leave it as it is, and I'm fine with that. And you can also add in different colours as well, just to add more interest to it. So it really is, there's no rules to this. There's no this is your painting, you can do whatever you want, you're in control. You can change things around, you can change the composition. If there's a tree in the way, or you're not happy with a certain tree, then you can always move it. And it really is just your artistic license, which you can use. You can do anything with your painting, and that's what I've decided to do. Just do as I feel, using this reference as much as I want, but it just gives me the sort of structure of the painting. think one of the main sort of main things that attracted me to this actual scene was the shadows of the trees, and then you've got a bit of some sort of fence running round this grass on the left hand side. So you got these nice shadows in the scene, which you will see as I pop them in. And it's always nice once if you have windows, if you have buildings in the scene, once you get those windows in, the darks of the windows, it just really does seem to pop. It really, I don't know why, but it really makes a difference in your actual painting. Once you get the windows in, it just sort of comes to life. You may notice as I was painting the shadows from the posts, I did make a mistake. And I know a lot of people think or say that you can't, if you make mistakes in watercolour, then that's it. But you can always get around, there's always ways to get around mistakes, or if you do something you're not happy with, you can always get around it. And in my case, as you saw, I just took that paint out just with a sort of dryish brush, just wiped over the area, and it was completely gone. You can sort of blend things, and you can do a lot more than what people give watercolour credit for. And so it's known, a lot of people call it an unforgiving medium, and I suppose that's sort of true, but in a lot of ways it is forgiving. And for any of you that do watercolours, then I'm sure you can relate to that it can be quite forgiving, can be. Obviously there's things that you can't fix, and that's just the way it is. But a lot of times you can get around and sort of compromise, or you can remove, or anything like that. It is a lot easier in other mediums, but with watercolours you've got to do what you can, and you can always sort of normally fix things. So there we go. So I'm just adding this tree from the left hand side, so this tree is just out of the picture. So it's nice to get these trees, these limbs that are coming from outside of the frame. It's always nice to do that, and shortly I will be adding a little bit of shadows, cast shadows from that tree or a tree along the grass. So you got that, which is quite nice. And then obviously just adding branches and limbs and twigs to these trees now. I decided to use a pen. It's always nice to use a pen in watercolour, especially when you got these branches and lots going on in the trees. There's so many branches. There's even more than what I've included here, but I'm quite happy the way it is. Maybe I'll add some more, I don't know. But I wanted to add these far in the distance. There's a couple of, I think the barns or something to do with the farms. There's fields where there's a couple of horses, and they're probably cows that are on the other side of the road from near from where this is. So there's quite a lot going on in this area. It's a really nice little walk, literally about 10 minutes from where I live. So I have been here a few times. And also my son's school is not too far from here as well. There is a little house, a little building on this left hand side which I want to include, and it's quite dark because the sun's not behind these buildings, and probably it's towards the left, and so that's where you've got these nice cast shadows. So just adding these, I don't want any sort of descriptive details on these buildings, just what you can see in the reference. There's a couple of windows, this, that and the other. You can just see those, so I'm just adding those in. And then you can see a little bit of the background hills as well in between these buildings. So I will be adding those as well, but I quite like the way the path, the colour, and these shadows go across the path, these fence posts. And there is a little bit of a meshy sort of fence in between those posts, which you can barely see, but because I know they're there, I thought I will include some line work, and I'll use the pen just to get those little details, but it's not too important. But I think overall I'm quite happy with the scene so far. Let me know what you think in the comment section. You can see there I'm just including this cast shadow of a tree in just off the painting, and now there's a couple of buildings as well in the far distance towards where I had my vanishing point as well. So if you are looking for inspiration for your next painting, it really is quite, I'm sure there's places, just you don't have to go too far to find something that will inspire you. If you take a walk, you may live in the countryside, or even if you live in the city, there's always something that will maybe catch your eye. Look for patterns, look for shapes, and anything that catches your eye, you can snap a picture of it. And we're quite lucky really that we all have smartphones nowadays, and they're always handy because you can always take a picture of where you're at and just start creating these sort of paintings. So this is an English landscape just near where I live, and lots of farm areas and farmland and barns and even horses in the field. In fact, I did do a painting of one of the horses that lives around here, if you want to check that out on my channel. So yeah, there's always places that you can be inspired by, but just if you do anything with lots of detail, then break the subject down into shapes. Concentrate on the contrast, where the contrasting areas, the and then obviously perspective. If you've got buildings in the painting, then just take note of where those vanishing points are and where the roofs of the buildings. If it's a scene from a side of a building, then just take note of where the lines and the roof line comes down, and I'm sure you can't go too wrong. Just removing the tape now from this painting, you get a better look of how this looks. I'm quite happy with that. There is a car that was in the photo that I haven't included. Don't ask why, I wanted to, but that's pretty much it. That's what I've not included. But that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one.